The kingdom of heaven at that time will be like 10 bridesmaids who took their lamps and went out to meet the groom. 5 of them were foolish, and 5 were sensible. The foolish ones took lamps with them, but no oil, whereas the others took flasks of oil with their lamps. Now the bridegroom was late, so they all went asleep. It was in the middle of the night when the cry rang out, "The bridegroom is here! Go out to meet him!" The girls all woke up and prepared their lamps. The foolish ones said to the sensible ones, "Give us some of your oil, because our lamps are going out." "No," they replied. "There may not be enough for both of us, both you and us. Go to the oil dealers and buy some for yourselves." But as they were going off to buy, the bridegroom came. Those who were ready went with him to the wedding feast, and the door was shut. Later the other bridesmaids came. "Sir, sir," they cried, "let us in." But he answered, "Indeed, I tell you, I don't know you. So stay alert, because you know neither the day nor the hour. For it will be like a man about to leave his home for a while, who entrusted his possessions to his servants. To one he gave 5 talents, equivalent to 100 years' wages. To another 2 talents, and to another 1 talent, to each according to his ability. Then he left. The one who had received 5 talents immediately went out, invested it, and earned another 5. Similarly, the one who was given 2 earned another 2. But the one given 1 talent went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of those servants returned to settle accounts with them. The one who had received 5 talents came forward, bringing the other 5, and said, "Sir, you gave me 5 talents. Here, I have made 5 more." His master said to him, "Excellent. You are a good and trustworthy servant. You have been faithful with a small amount, so I will put you in charge of a large amount. Come and join in your master's happiness." Also, the one who had received 2 came forward and said, "Sir, you gave me 2 talents. Here I have made 2 more." His master said to him, "Excellent. You are a good and trustworthy servant. You have been faithful with a small amount, so I will put you in charge of a large amount. Come and join in your master's happiness." Now the one who had received 1 talent came forward and said, "I knew you were a hard man, the harvest where you didn't plant and gather where you didn't sow. I was afraid, so I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here, take what belongs to you." "You wicked, lazy servant," said his master. "So you knew, did you, that I harvest where I haven't planted, and that I gather where I didn't sow? And you should have deposited the money with the bankers, so that when I returned, I would have at least have gotten back interest on my capital. Take the talent from him and give it to the one who has 10. For everyone who has something will be given more, so that he will have more than enough. But from anyone who has nothing, even what he does have will be taken away. As for this worthless servant, throw him out into the dark, where people will wail and grind their teeth. When the Son of Man comes in his glory, accompanied by all his angels, he will sit on his glorious throne. All the nations will be assembled before him, and he will separate people one from another, as a shepherd separates sheep from goats. The sheep he will place at his right hand, and the goats at his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you whom my Father has blessed, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you from the founding of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you made me a guest. I needed clothes, and you provided them. I was sick, and you took care of me. I was in prison, and you visited me." Then the people who have done what God wanted once will reply, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, and thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and make you our guest, or needing clothes and provide them? When did we see you sick in prison and visit you?" The king will say to them, "Yes, I tell you that whenever you did these things for one of the least important of these brothers of mine, you did them for me." Then he will also speak of those on his left, saying, "Get away from me, you who are cursed. Go off into the fire prepared for the adversary and his angels. For I was hungry, and you did not. For I was hungry, you did not give me food. Thirsty, you gave me nothing to drink. A stranger, and you did not welcome me. Needing clothes, and you did not give them to me. Sick and in prison, you didn't visit me." Then they will reply, "Lord, when did we see you hungry, thirsty, a stranger, needing clothes, sick, or in prison, and not take care of you?" And he will answer them, "Yes, I will tell you, whenever you refuse to do it for the least important of these people, you refuse to do it for me." They will go off into eternal punishment. But those who have done what God wants will go to eternal life. When Yeshua had finished speaking, he said to his Talmudim, "As you know, Pesach is 2 days away, and the Son of Man will be handed over to be nailed to the execution stake." Then the head Kohanim and the elders of the people gathered in the place of Caiaphas, the Kohen Haggadol. They made plans to arrest Yeshua superstitiously and have him put to death. But they said, "Not during the festival, or the people will riot." Yeshua was in Beit Ananiah at the home of Shimon, the man who had the Zarat. A woman who had an alabaster jar filled with very expensive perfume approached Yeshua while he was eating and began pouring it on his head. When the Talmudim saw it, they became very angry. "Why this waste?" they asked. "This could have been sold for a lot of money and given to the poor." But Yeshua, aware of what was going on, said to them, "Why are you bothering this woman? She has done a beautiful thing for me. The poor you will always have with you, but you will not always have me. She poured this perfume on me and prepared my body for burial. Yes, I tell you that throughout the whole world, wherever this good news is proclaimed, what she has done will be told in her memory." Then one of the 12, the one called Yehuda from Kirot, went to the head Kohanim and said, "What are you willing to give me in return, Yeshua, over to you?" They counted out 30 silver coins and gave them to Yehuda. From then on, he looked for a good opportunity to betray him. On the first day for Matzah, the Talmudim came to Yeshua and asked him, "Where do you want us to prepare your Seder?" "Go into the city to do so-and-so," he replied. "Tell him that the rabbi said, 'My time is near. My Talmudim and I are celebrating Pesach at your house.'" The Talmudim did as Yeshua directed and prepared the Seder. When evening came, Yeshua reclined with the 12 Talmudim, and as they were eating, he said, "Yes, I tell you that one of you is going to betray me." They became terribly upset and began asking him one after the other, "Lord, you don't mean me, do you?" He answered, "The one who dips his matzah in the dish with me is the one who will betray me. The Son of Man will die just as the Tanakh says he will, but woe to the man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It would have been better for him had he never been born." Yehuda, the one who was betraying him, then asked, "Surely, Rabbi, you don't mean me?" He answered, "The words are yours." While they were eating, Yeshua took a piece of matzah, made the bracha, broke it, gave it to the Talmudim, and said, "Take, eat. This is my body." Also, he took a cup of wine, made bracha, and gave it to them, saying, "All of you, drink from it. For this is my blood, which ratifies the new covenant, my blood shed on behalf of many, so that they may have their sins forgiven. I tell you, I will not drink the fruit of the vine again until the day I drink new wine with you in my Father's kingdom." After singing the Hallel, they went out to the Mount of Olives. Yeshua then said to them, "Tonight you will all lose faith in me, as the Tanakh says. I will strike the shepherd dead, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered. But after I have been raised, I will go ahead of you in the Gilgal. I will never lose faith in you," Kepha answered, "even if everyone else does." Yeshua said to him, "Yes, I tell you that tonight before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times. "Even if I must die with you," Kepha replied, "I will never disown you." And all his Talmudim said the same thing. Then Yeshua went with his Talmudim to a place called Git Shemnim and said to them, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." He took with them Kepha and Zebediah's 2 sons. Grief and anguish came over him, and he said to them, "My heart is so filled with sadness that I could die. Remain here and stay awake with me." Go on a little farther, he fell on his face, praying, "My Father, if possible, let this cup pass from me. Yet not what I want, but what you want." He returned to the Talmudim and found them sleeping. He said to Kepha, "Were you so weak that you couldn't stay awake for me for even an hour? Stay awake and pray that you will not be put to the test. The spirit indeed is eager, but human nature is weak." A second time he went off and prayed, "My Father, if this cup cannot pass away unless I drink it, let what you want be done." Again he returned and found them sleeping. Their eyes were so heavy. Leaving them again, he went off and prayed a 3rd time, saying the same words. Then he came to the Talmudim and said, "For now, go on sleeping, take your rest. Look, the time has come for the Son of Man to be betrayed into the hands of sinners. Get up, let's go. Here comes my betrayer." While Yeshua was still speaking, Yehuda, one of the 12, came, and with him a large crowd carrying swords and clubs from the head Kohanim and elders of the people. The betrayer had arranged to give them a signal. "The man I kiss is the one you want. Grab him." He went straight up to Yeshua and said, "Shalom, Rabbi," and kissed him. Yeshua said to him, "Friend, do what you came to do." Then they moved forward, laid hold of Yeshua, and arrested him. At that, one of the men with Yeshua reached for his sword, drew it out, and struck at the servant, the Kohen Gadol, cutting off his ear. Yeshua said to him, "Put your sword back where it belongs, for everyone who uses a sword will die by the sword. Don't you know that I can ask my Father, and he will instantly provide me more than dozens of armies of angels to help me? But if I did that, how could the passage in the Tanakh be fulfilled that says it has to happen this way?" Then Yeshua addressed the crowd. "So you came out to take me with swords and clubs, the way you did with leader of a rebellion. Every day I sat in the temple court teaching, and you didn't seize me. But all this had to happen so that the prophets wrote may be fulfilled." Then Talmudim all deserted him and ran away. Those who had seized Yeshua led him off to Caiaphas, the Kohen Haggadah, where the Torah teachers and elders were assembled. Kepha followed him at a distance, as far as the courtyard of Kohen Haggadah. Then he went inside and sat down with the guards to see what the outcome would be. The head Kohanim and the whole Sanhedrin looked for some false evidence against Yeshua, so that they might put him to death. But they couldn't find any, even though many liars came forward and gave testimony. At last, however, 2 people came forward and said, "This man said, 'I can tear down God's temple and build it up again in 3 days.'" The Kohen Haggadah stood up and said, "Have you nothing to say to the accusation these men are making?" Yeshua remained silent. The Kohen Haggadah said to him, "I put you under oath by the living God. Tell us if you are the Mashiach, the Son of God." Yeshua said to them, "The words are your own, but I tell you that one day you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of Hagarah, coming in the clouds of heaven." At this, the Kohen Haggadol tore his robes. "Blasphemy," he said. "Why do you still need witnesses? You heard his blasphemy. What is your verdict?" "Guilty," they answered. "He deserves death." Then they spit in his face and pounded him with their fists. And those who were beating him said, "Now you, Messiah, prophesy to us. Who hit you that time?" Kepha was sitting outside in the courtyard when a servant girl came up to him. "You too were with Yeshua from Gilgal," she said. But he denied it in front of everyone. "I don't know what you're talking about." He went out into the porch, and another girl saw him and said to the people there, "This man was with Yeshua of Nazareth." Again, he denied it, swearing, "I don't know the man." After a little while, the bystanders approached Kepha and said, "You must be one of them. Your accent gives you away." This time he began to invoke a curse on himself as he swore, "I don't know the man." And immediately the rooster crowed. Kepha remembered what Yeshua had said, "Before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times." And he went outside and cried bitterly.